And I want to, before we get started today on this Veterans Day weekend, take this opportunity to remember those who have served our country and also to honor those who are even now serving our country. I think in this day and age, it is so important in a day when you have people, athletes in particular, protesting, the very ones who fought for their right to protest in that way. And I think it is so important on Veterans Day weekend to acknowledge you and honor you. We owe you a profound debt of gratitude for your service. So what we want to do is have you at this time stand so we can honor you and thank you and also pray for you. So all of those who have served or are serving, would you please stand so that we can do that? Yes, thank you. If you would please remain standing. And as you do, if you would join with me as we just go to the throne and pray and thank God for these precious people. Loving Heavenly Father, we cannot thank you enough for those who have put their lives on the line for this country. Lord, I personally am so grateful to you for them, because of how I came to this country and how my parents fled to this country. Lord, would you, on this day that we honor them, pour out your blessing upon them? Lord, would you minister to them as well as we take this opportunity to thank them so very much for their service to our country. Lord, thank you, and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Thank you. Well, I don't want to take any more time away from Pastor Billy today. We're in for a real blessing, a real treat. I had the privilege of meeting Pastor Billy a number of years ago, and actually he was here last year before we were done with the building. He was doing a documentary, and he asked if he could interview me for the documentary on the pre-tribulation rapture, and which, as you know, I'm kind of passionate about just a little bit. And so he came out, he flew out, he and Reed, and we did the interview actually outside, and it was really hot. And just for Billy, you have to understand something about him, and I don't know that he's going to share it. I asked him if he was, but he has a real issue with chickens. No, seriously, pray for him, because it is a demonic thing for him, okay? And he told me the story one day over lunch as I ordered barbecue chicken, and I told him that Mike's Huli Huli chicken, that rents from us, that was just for him. Just for him. We're going to have a Mike's Huli Huli chicken for you afterwards. You can cast demons out of it if you want. But anyway, we had the privilege of being amongst the speakers at the Prophecy Watchers Conference in Norman, Oklahoma last month, and we talked there as well, and were able to spend a little bit of time together. But this time he called me again earlier in the year saying, I want to do another documentary. I'd like to interview again. Well, I'm not the sharpest knife in the kitchen drawer, but I kind of caught on, and I decided that I was going to have to make a deal with him. So I said to him, Billy, if you're going to come and do another interview, I will only do it under one condition, and that is that you speak while you're here. So he said, deal. We had him Thursday night, and for those of you who were not here Thursday night, I would really encourage you to go to YouTube and watch what I believe was a prophetic word fitly spoken for this church in particular, the church as a whole. but this church in particular, it was a prophetic word, and I really encourage you, for those of you who were not here. Well, let me give him the proper introduction. Pastor Billy is the senior pastor of Sunrise Bible Church in Las Vegas, Nevada. He is married to his lovely wife, Brandy, and they have two wonderful children, Rebecca and Billy. Pastor Billy is also a gifted author, counselor, an amazing conference speaker. Billy, you spelled counselor wrong on this introduction. Do I still get the $20 for saying this? Okay, good. So, conference speaker and teacher and a frequent guest on radio talk shows, television programs, and a frequent speaker at Bible prophecy conferences. He speaks to thousands of people across the United States as well as an international community of over 200 countries. He has appeared in the Christian movie Standing Firm and is currently creating a documentary series, The Road to Eternity. So, would you please join with me in warm welcome for Pastor Billy Crone as he comes up.
Awesome. Thank you, Pastor J.D. Hey, keep clapping. Yay! That's right. And if you know that theme to Jeopardy, now's the time to sing it. Na, na, na,
Oops, I messed up.
Bump it up a key.
Here we go.
Oh, hey. Uh-oh.
All right, there we go. You're good. Okay.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Right on. Hey, awesome. Hey, give it up for Pastor J.D. Awesome. See if we can't do this here and hopefully don't mess something up. But hey, good to see you guys. Glad to be here. And I tell you what, that's probably the most creative introduction I've ever had. And but the cat's out of the bag, yes. The title of my sermon today is Chickens Are Evil, Deal With It. Okay, so let's... But how many guys have ever watched some of our services back in Las Vegas? I forget where I pastor. But yeah, well, you always know I start out with something. Anybody want to guess? Well, before the joke, I got to swallow my gum. There she goes. Breakfast of Champions. That's right. But anyway, I got to get going because I'm going to try to refrain from what I did Thursday. That was hilarious. I think I broke a record. I don't think I've said, and in closing, more than I ever did Thursday night. What, 14 times? But anyway, whatever. So, and I kept going. But good to see you guys. Hey, Thursday, of course, we were dealing with spiritual warfare. And unfortunately, that is a topic like Bible prophecy, unfortunately, that the church doesn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. But what we're going to deal with, of course, now the next two messages is Bible prophecy. And I encourage you, please stick around for the second one. I'm doing this first one lays the foundation. The one for the second service is really the capstone. So you want to come for both. I really encourage you. If you can't, that's okay. We'll lay hands on you. But no, it's okay. But I really encourage you. It's part one, part two. It's not the same message at all, but it builds on each other. So, but anyway, we got a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to test the old clicker and, give it up for the red screen of fun. See, that's my thing. It's working. Praise God. That's great. Give it up for Milton. Milton, he's in the back. How you doing, Milton? Thank you. Yeah. Always want to give the sound crew, the video crew, a little hand clap because they get the wrong kind of attention. The only time that they get noticed is when something's going wrong, right? So, but they're back there making sure things go smooth. All right, so you guys ready to go? All right, let's pray. Father, we love you. We thank you so much for today. Thank you for a fantastic day that we, your people, get to come and be nourished by your truth. And especially what you promised us. All your Bible is important for us. All of it is good for us. But there's something about prophecy. You tell us is a triple-fold blessing for those who read, who hear, who take to heart what is written in these pages. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're looking forward to the blessing, God, by the power of your Spirit through your word. Bless us as your church, God, as we study Bible prophecy. And I pray, God, that it would direct us to the appropriate response. These signs are not meant to freak us out. They're not meant to scare us. They're meant to motivate us. We should be more and more excited because we don't know the day nor the hour, but it's getting close. And that's what all this information means. Doesn't mean it's time to go hide out in the hills and go AWOL. It's time to continue to take our stand, move forward for you, Jesus, as we long for your appearing. So help we, your church, God, to respond appropriately and get motivated more than ever, certainly in sharing the gospel. And God, as always, if there's anybody here that's not saved, only you know the heart, but you know the heart. I can be fooled, but you can't. If there's somebody here today that's not truly born again, and if the rapture were to occur today, that they would be left behind, would you please, God, please, we sang songs about it, your mercy. Would you please have mercy on them and save them before it's too late? Oh, God, please. We ask all these things in your wonderful name, in Jesus' name, and all God's people said, amen. All right, now we get to the corny joke, and I really like this one. I hope you do too. Hey, there's this young couple and they decided to get married, right? That's a good thing. But as the big day approached, they grew very apprehensive. You see, each one had a problem that they'd never shared with anyone before, not even each other. Big mistake, right? So the groom-to-be, overcoming his fear, he decides to ask his dad for advice, right? Dad knows everything. So he says, Dad, he says, listen, I am deeply concerned about the success of my marriage. You see, I love my fiancée very much, but you see, Dad, I've got very smelly feet. And I'm afraid that my future wife, she's going to be put off by him. And Dad, he says, hey, son, come on, no problem. Here's what you do. All you got to do is wash your feet as often as possible and always, always, always wear socks, even to bed. Well, the groom-to-be, he thought, this is pretty good. He decides to put it into play. Well, meanwhile, the bride-to-be, overcoming her fear, she decides to take her problem out with her mom. And she goes, Mom, man, when I wake up in the morning, my breath is truly awful. And she goes, come on, honey. I mean, everybody's got bad breath in the morning. She goes, no, Mom, you don't understand. My morning breath is so bad, I'm afraid that my new husband, he won't even want to sleep in the same room with me. So her mom says, okay, here's what you do. Try this. In the morning, you get straight out of bed. And I mean straight out of bed, and you head straight for that bathroom, and you brush your teeth. The key is to not say a word until you brushed your teeth. Not a word. Well, the bride-to-be, she thought this was a good plan. She decided to give it a try. And so, of course, the loving couple, they were finally married in this beautiful ceremony. And not forgetting the advice that each one of them had received. He with his perpetual socks and her with her morning silence, you know. They managed quite well until about 6 months later. Ooh. Shortly before dawn, listen, the husband wakes with a start to find that one of his socks had come off. Yeah. So fearful of the consequences, he starts frantically searching all over the bed. And, well, this, of course, woke up his bride. And without thinking, she immediately asked, what on earth are you doing? And the husband gasped in shock and said, oh, no, you swallowed my sock. Oh, Pastor JD, thank you for sharing that story when you and your wife first got married. Yeah, that's for the demon chicken thing. No, I'm just kidding you. But how many guys would say that couple is headed for some serious upheaval in their marriage? You know what I'm saying? They tried to keep a lid on it, but man, it came out eventually, okay? And believe it or not, folks, the Bible says that our whole world is going to experience some serious upheaval, and that's going to happen, boom, right when the 7-year tribulation begins. Daniel 9:27, the Antichrist makes a peace treaty, the covenant with the people of Israel. Bang, the clock starts. You don't want to be there. In fact, I didn't say that. Jesus did. He said it's going to be the worst time in the history of mankind, so horrible that unless God shortened the time frame, kept it to 7 years, the entire human race would be destroyed, okay? And I think that part of the reason why is because when you take a look at the events of the 7-year tribulation, folks, in a nutshell, it is going to be not just a horrible time, it's going to be a total bloodbath. Most of the world, the Bible says, listen, is going to be annihilated. Most of our planet is going to be annihilated. I'll say it again. And I believe that a lot of modern technology that we see today, including drone technology and the next message, artificial intelligence, putting it all together, is going to be some of the last days tools that are going to be used to create this annihilation in the 7-year tribulation. But as always, that's not just my theory. Let's go back to the Word of God. Open your Bibles to Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6. Let's take a look at just how bad of an annihilation is going to go on here. And the context, of course, we're just dealing with the first half of the 7-year tribulation, the sealed judgments, the first half, okay? And let's see how bad of a time frame just this part is going to be, okay? How much is the planet going to get annihilated, right? But let's take a look there. Revelation chapter 6 says this. I watched as the Lamb. Who's the Lamb? Jesus. He opened the first of the 7 seals. Who's in charge here? Who's unleashing these judgments? This is coming straight from God. This is not man's wrath. This is not Satan's wrath. That's a false teaching. This is coming from the hand of God. Right out of the gates, right here, Revelation 6, parallel passage to Daniel 9:27, the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. So the Lamb, he opens the first of the 7 seals, and then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." And I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Well, when the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." And then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make men slay each other. To him was given a large sword. Well, when the Lamb, Jesus, opens the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and there before me was a black horse, and its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. And then I heard what sounded like the voice among the four living creatures say, "A quart of wheat for a day's wages, 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine." Well, when the Lamb, Jesus, opens the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. And listen, they were given a power over how much? 1/4 of the earth, to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Interesting. Wild beasts, we'll get to that in just a second. But here we see after the first seal is opened up, okay, we see the first seal is opened up. Actually, hey, we need some technical support. And you thought I was kidding about that exciting, interesting Jeopardy song. But if Pastor JD or somebody could come up here and launch the other PowerPoint, this is the one for the second message. But that's right, it's called the interlude music. So let's go ahead and start that. Da na 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 na. Hey, na 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 na. Ba na 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 ba da 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 da. Hey, ba 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 key. Ba 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 ba. Hey. Beep. Hey, just in time, yeah. Woo! Nice. We are there. Well, that would explain why in the world you were looking at me strange, going, Revelation 6, what are you talking about? Let's move on. Revelation chapter 6, at least what I was reading, okay, what was going on in that text there. We saw that after the first seal is opened up, the second seal is opened up, and a global war breaks out that the Antichrist is a part of. And what did he say? How many people were annihilated in that war? 1/4 of the planet, right? Now, let's do some math. How many guys hooked on math? Praise God, all 2 of you, right? Okay, but if you do some math, if this war were to break out today, listen, this is how much of a death toll this is. 1.8 billion people. Nearly 2 billion people, bang, are going to go in one fell swoop, right? Massive amounts, of, not million, billion people, okay? Now, the Bible says that that's just the beginning. Okay, because there's going to be another annihilation in the second half with the trumpet judgments. Let's take a look at that text here. Revelation 9, 15 through 16. And the 4 angels who have been prepared for the hour and the day and the month and the year were released so that they would kill a what? 1/3 of mankind. The number of the armies of the horsemen was 200 million. I heard the number of them. Okay, so now you do the math on this one after you subtract the other one. And again, for those of you hooked on math, basically what you got in a nutshell is this. Just these 2 judgments alone. This is not counting the unfortunate, another Jewish Holocaust coming in Zechariah 13. 2/3 of the Jewish people are hunted down by the Antichrist. So I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about the meteors slamming into the earth. I'm not talking about the earthquakes that levels all the... just these 2 judgments. You put it all together, we've got 3.6 billion people, about half our planet is going to be annihilated in the 7-year tribulation. A massive amount. This is why it's a total bloodbath. This is why I believe Jesus says, listen, this is going to be the worst time in the history of mankind. You don't want to be there. There's an urgency. If you're not saved, you better get saved now. This is not a game. You don't want to be in the 7-year tribulation. Now, I said all that to lay this question. Do we see the technology on the planet now to pull off this level of an annihilation? We're not talking the death of millions of people. We're talking the death of 3.6 billion people in a relatively short amount of time. Now, most people would sit there and say, well, that's a piece of cake. We're just going to drop nuclear warfare. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because in this first judgment, the seals, okay, when 1/4 of the earth goes up, that's the first half of the 7-year tribulation. If you use that nuclear warfare as the means to annihilate 1/4 of the planet, you're done. You're in a nuclear winter. You're not continuing forward. Planet, society is shut down. It's over, right? But that's not what we see in the 7-year tribulation. The Antichrist still continues to move forward. The Antichrist, he continues to move. I just won't say forward again. The Antichrist continues to move this way. He's moving all over the place. And, hey, we still on? Yeah, we're on. Man, whatever, this is cool. This is a great thing. Today's weather report is it's going to be cloudy. Testing. Well, hey, how about you want to just use this guy? I get emotional too. So, anyway, I think the wireless guy took a dive out there. Hi, is this guy working? Hi there. Hello. Are we on? Hey, we're on. Yay! All right. Well, the Antichrist, obviously, he's going all over the place. I just better stop the Antichrist stuff. But anyway, but anyways, he's going to continue to move forward, right? He's going to continue with the mark of the beast. He's going to do the abomination of desolation. He's still going to continue on with the buying and the selling. So apparently the economy is going to listen. If you use nuclear warfare in the first part, it's done. So I said all that to get this. Do we therefore then see the technology on the planet today that could annihilate this amount of people, billions of people, in a relatively short amount of time, not using nuclear warfare? The answer, I believe, unfortunately, is yes. And I see that when you take a look at what's going on with the rise of drone technology. Listen, artificial intelligence, and you've got to be here for the next message. Terminator robots. They're already being built by militaries around the world. I got actual video clips. You don't want to miss that, okay? And this is what I want to bring out to you. I believe that we have, for the first time in mankind's history, the technology to pull off this slaughter that we see in the 7-year tribulation without nuclear warfare, okay? And I want to share some of that proof with you. Now, the first way that I see that is because we're seeing the militarization of drones. The militarization of drones, right? Drones are not even being put out just in the private sector. They're being put out everywhere. They're being put out in the business sector, the agricultural sector, even the commercial sector. Amazon, they're actually having Amazon Prime Air. You familiar with that? They want your delivery within 30 minutes or less using drone technology. The media sector, the transportation sector, you name it, okay? Drone technology is literally going all over the place. It's flooding our society, okay? Now, that's just one thing. When we think of drones, we think of, well, it's just they're going to deliver packages and pizza, and it's going to be great. More convenience for us. Well, not necessarily. The problem with the drones is, guess who else is using them? Police forces and military folks all over the planet. And I'm not just talking here in the United States. I'm talking in Europe, all over the world. Right now, do the research, folks. Drones are being used for crowd control. Drones are being equipped to shoot pepper spray. Drones are being equipped with facial recognition software to scan you and recognize you in a crowd. You don't even know there's a drone up there. That's what they're doing. Some are able to scan your cell phone data, okay? And they're being equipped with infrared technology to look for heat signatures behind walls, even concrete walls. You can't hide with this technology that's constantly now in the air. Now, that's just the police forces. Now, what's dangerous, that I see a dangerous trend, is now the police forces, with their drone technology and arming it, okay, is now merging with the military. The police forces around the world are working with the militaries around the world to launch them on their citizens. And I'm talking, folks, even the military drones like the Predator. Are you familiar with the Predator? That's the one that they hunt down the Muslim terrorists and stuff. It's got the Hellfire missiles and all that stuff. Okay, well, believe it or not, the trend is now eclipsed. Did you know that they're actually launching Predator drones on American citizens? They are. And I'm just going to give you one example. And dare I say, over some pretty mundane reasons. Now, I'm not condoning being a cattle thief, but you launched an actual Predator drone for somebody who stole cows in America? Watch this. Even the news picked up on it.
Well, we begin this afternoon with signs that the U.S. may be moving in the direction of becoming a police state. Now, we've heard about drones being used in the Middle East. Most recently, Iran seized a U.S. drone accused of spying on the country. But now reports that Predator drones are being used on American citizens on U.S. soil. This video pretty much sums it all up.
Nelson County, North Dakota's Sheriff Kelly Yonke went looking for 6 missing cattle on a Brossard family farm when 3 armed Brossard brothers chased him away. Yonke called the Highway Patrol, a SWAT team, a bomb squad, and a Predator drone operated by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The drone was used to surveil the property until the Brossard brothers were observed to be unarmed. Then the SWAT team moved in to make the arrests.
Yes, that really happened. An unmanned multi-million-dollar drone was reportedly used to help local police track down stolen cows and their owners. So what is happening here in the U.S., and is this a sign of things to come?
Well, I could see if they were, stealing chickens. Yeah, get that Give me a break. I'm not here condoning being a cattle thief, but excuse me, this is not in some foreign country, folks. This is here in the West. You launched an actual military predator drone on American citizens. And they weren't threatening to throw over the government. Or whatever rationale, okay? But see, that's the problem, right? We've been conditioned to listen when we bring this up. They say, oh, don't worry, you can trust us. We're here to protect you from all these dangers, right? But see, that's the problem. Who defines the danger? Who defines the criminal? Who defines the cattle thief? Oh, by the way, who defines who's the terrorists? Have you noticed the propaganda that's going against you and I, the Christian, today? I've been saying this ever since 9/11 happened. The same propaganda that is being used against the, what's the term they use? Right-wing, fundamental, extreme Muslim terrorists is the same terminology they're using on you and I, the evangelical Christian. So the propaganda, just like what Hitler did, is already there. They just got to flip the switch. All they need is, I've been saying for years, unfortunately, some false flag event that they're going to blame on specifically the evangelical Christian, and we're toast. We'll become the new extremists. And they've already laid the groundwork for that. I don't have time to get into that on two issues. Number one, because we won't go along with the homosexual movement, we're considered guilty of a hate crime. They're calling the Bible a hate book. Number one. Number two, what they're also saying is that we have the audacity, like the Muslim terrorists, to say that our way is the only way instead of working together with everybody else saying that all paths lead to heaven. Okay? That's the two things. Pay attention, folks, how they're going to nail us to the wall, in my opinion. But did you notice with that drone? It wasn't just a drone that they launched, a predator drone. It wasn't just that was launched and that it just, kept an eye on them. What did it do? That drone could see what? Right through that building, even see if they were armed or not. This is actual technology. I'm not making it up. And it's already being used. They've already went over the edge. It's not just from abroad. They're using it on American citizens now. But I don't know about you. I take great comfort in knowing that our leaders are here to save us. Hey, you read my notes because my notes say, please laugh now. It does, really. Okay. Hey, folks, believe it or not, the previous administration, Obama, listen, they now use drones to monitor the border, and that's a hot topic, isn't it? There's all kinds of talk about, is Trump going to be able to build that wall? Can he build that wall? Maybe he'll build the wall. Can't build the wall. Wall, whatever. I don't know. Well, maybe they'll use something else. Because did you know that there's already a plan in place to do something different to monitor the border? Not 300, not 3,000. The previous administration desired 30,000 surveillance drones to monitor our borders. And these babies are armed to take somebody out. Watch this.
A new generation of surveillance drones could soon be watching us all from overhead. The Federal Aviation Administration is expected to announce plans to expand the use of domestic drones in American airspace. Eyes in the sky, similar to the unmanned aircraft that the United States has been using to target terrorists abroad. Here at home, the surveillance systems can be used to track terrorists or drug dealers, or to find missing children, or locate wandering Alzheimer's patients. Lots of different good uses, but the critics warn the use of drones presents a major threat to all of our personal privacy. Meantime, a newly discovered Air Force intelligence document leaked and posted online states, if drones capture surveillance footage of Americans incidentally, the data can be stored and analyzed by the Pentagon for up to 90 days. And that's not all. The Fox Report's chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt is with us. When are these drones likely to be flying, and how many of them might there be above our heads?
Well, there's a growing number already, Shep, but according to the experts, and indeed the FAA itself, there could be as many as 30,000 of these kind of drones, 30,000 flying overhead within the next decade. Now, obviously, law enforcement agencies love these drones, and they say they'll be able to save lives in things like hostage situations or search and rescue operations. But obviously, the privacy concerns are huge, because they will, in effect, bring every single backyard in America into the authorities' view.
Did you catch that? America, not Yugoslavia, not Pakistan, America. 30,000 of these babies flying around. Okay. Oh, and by the way, these things can take people out. And did you know that at least 6,000 people have already been killed with these types of drones already? And that's just what's being reported. And my suspicion is it's even bigger than that, okay? But we're not given all the accurate numbers. This is going on. You want to launch? See, we got duped, didn't we? We just thought that, no, it's okay because that's far away. We don't have to deal with that. We don't have to look at that, right? It's getting those bad terrorists over there. But now you want 30,000 of them right in our home. And then all you got to do is switch the term of terrorists. Would they hunt us down? Unfortunately, I think they would. In fact, folks, if you take a look at what's going on with the people, did you know that some of our previous leaders, including Obama, actually admitted they like killing people with drones? I didn't say that, he did. Watch this.
You know, the last thing I ever expected to come out of a Nobel Peace Prize winner's mouth is this: I'm really good at killing people. Yes, folks, according to a new book, Double Down, our beloved president, constitutional lawyer, Nobel laureate Barack Obama apparently loves to brag about how well he can execute human beings with drones.
Alrighty, well, so much for being protected by our leaders. Excuse me? It's almost like a step-by-step plan is being put into place, right? First of all, get this technology, and first just say it's just for monitoring people, and no, that's not good enough. Let's go ahead and equip this baby with weaponry to take people out. But we'll just do it with those bad guys. And in fact, we'll do it with the bad guys way over there. You don't have to worry about it. But then, you know what? We need that technology over here. Not 3, not 300, not 3,000, 30,000 in the West. And the previous president said he's good at killing people with them. Now, you take another leader like that, you take another Antichrist type figure, and you got all these babies flying around. Do you think they would hesitate to use them on the public, even here in the West? I don't think so. In fact, once again, I think that Hollywood is helping condition us for that reality, where they will use drone technology to hunt people down and take them out. Okay? Now, of all places that this came out, okay, and by the way, do you guys realize that Hollywood is not just entertainment, it's a propaganda tool? It's a conditioning tool to get us prepared for the future that they're building, okay, this anti-Christ regime, okay? Well, of all places for me to come across this scenario, you guys might appreciate this. Watch this scenario on the TV show called Hawaii Five-0. And you tell me if they're not conditionists that one day somebody could hijack this drone technology and hunt people down and kill them like flies. Watch this. Alrighty, that's an interesting plot, right? I mean, are you scraping the barrel? You're just like, hey, Bob, it's our 8th season, man. I've run out of ideas. I don't know how many times I can have Joe go down to the coffee shop. Let's try something new. I know. Hey, how about we do a killer drone that somebody hijacks and kills people? Yeah! Are you serious? Are you really scraping the barrel that bad for an idea? Or are you slowly getting us used to the idea that this might be the coming future? And notice it wasn't just drones, and it wasn't just drones that were armed. But how did it get to that beach and start doing what it did? What was the phrase that they used there? Hijacked it. Somebody hijacked that drone, right? Well, folks, that system is already being built before our very eyes. A literal Skynet is being built to control all the drones on the planet, which means somebody could hijack it. And I quote, listen to this. This is Verizon. Most people don't have no clue this is going on. Verizon has teamed up and is developing with NASA, okay, to, quote, direct and monitors America's growing fleet of civilian and commercial drones. Why? Because they said at the moment there is little to stop operators flying wherever they want. And this technology would be automatically giving them the ability to do what's called geofencing the drones. In other words, they would be able to control them. They'd be able to stop them. And the whole idea that they used as an excuse to do this was because we had one land in the White House. Remember that? That guy there? Oh, that's it. So, we can't ever let that happen again. So I know Verizon team up with NASA and build this global system to control all the drones. Sounds a little bit overkill to me, right? Okay, but that's literally what they're doing, okay? And they are going to, quote, ground drones in bad weather, help them to avoid buildings and each other, and decide which drones have priority in congested airspaces. Now you're thinking, well, how in the world are they going to do that? Well, listen to this. They are using drones, monitoring them, controlling them by a range of sensors, including cell phone signals, hence Verizon's cooperation, also radar and orbiting satellites. Wait a second. So if you use orbiting satellites, which orbit the planet, to be able to tap in anytime you want with your own discretion and control and direct drones, then that means you ain't doing it just around the White House. You're not just doing it here in America. Where are you doing it? All over the world. Right now that system is being built. And again, tongue-in-cheek, what are you going to call it? Skynet? This is really going on. Now here's my whole point. Let's get back to our text. How in the world are you going to be able to annihilate half the planet in a relatively short amount of time without using nuclear warfare? I don't know. You take all these drones that all the militaries around the world are working on, not just the United States. They're all being armed. They're all being equipped. You build this Skynet scenario, right? And you give one person the ability to push a button, hijack them all, and you could use them just like the Hawaii 5 scenario and hunt people down and take them out. You could find anybody anywhere. There's no place to hide. So I think that's part of the reason why this time frame is going to be so horrible. You don't want to be there. They are militarizing drones. They are equipping them with the ability to be hijacked for one guy to do his dirty deed. Interesting. But that's just the first way. The second way is what I call the miniaturization of drones and also the mimicking of nature. Now again, this is not just a phenomenon here in the West. Let me share some stats with you. Russia is working overtime on developing, this is their words, not mine, killer drones. Not just drones, killer drones, okay? They've recently announced plans to build a military drone base in the Arctic 420 miles off the Alaskan coast. Did you realize that? Not a military base, a military drone base, okay? They're doing, China's going crazy. In fact, China is building so many drones right now that they're selling them to other countries. Thanks a lot, right? And they also have developed, listen, a drone defense system. Wait a second. Why would you spend the money to develop a drone defense system unless you realize that in the future of warfare, this is how you're going to fight? Interesting, okay? And thanks to China, again, everybody's got them. France, Germany, Italy, and I'm talking armed, equipped, the killer drones. France, Germany, Italy, Turkey, England, India, Pakistan, Israel, and it's growing. In fact, listen to this headline. This is a headline. Every country will have armed drones within 10 years. 10 years. Every country on the planet. A whole new way of warfare is being launched. They don't need humans anymore. Now, it's not just that they are being, with the drones, those are what's called UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, like we saw in the Hawaii 5.0 depiction. But what they're also doing with drones is they're mimicking nature and they're miniaturizing them, okay? You see, you just thought that was a bird on the wire. No, it's a drone. No, you just thought that was a lizard that came through the door there. You just having a cup of coffee, you know? No, that was a drone. A spider, a kangaroo. No. You went to the ocean, right? And the jellyfish, there he was. No, stingray, lobster, shark. No, every single one of those I mentioned, every single one of those is being droned out. Every one of them. And you can't tell the difference. It looks like a real shark. It's not a shark, it's a drone. It looks like a real bird. It's not, it's a drone. Okay? And they're coming out in massive details. In fact, they're even making them look like all kinds of animals. And again, I mentioned kangaroo. Kid you not, that one was freaky. Wish I had time to share you that video. But I'm going to share just one example, how they're mimicking nature. Here is a robotic cheetah by DARPA. Do you guys know who DARPA is? Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, who makes all the toys for the military. Okay? They're developing a robotic cheetah. Watch this.
First, let's start with who is in charge of technology developments for the military. That is the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, an agency that is the stuff of mystery novels. And recently, we've noticed they've been beefing up on robots. Most recently, they contracted with Boston Dynamics to create a cheetah robot. Check that out. Look at this drawing. It's a four-legged robot that reportedly runs faster than the fastest human. It will be able to zigzag and take tight turns in order to, quote, chase and evade. It'll also be able to make sudden stops and could end up with a tail.
Or a gun, or some other weaponry like they're arming with the other drones. Very interesting. Actual technology they're actually working on. Now, I'm not going to say thus saith the Lord on this, but man, you see what they're doing with their current technology? And go back to the issue, what's the whole premise of this study? How do you annihilate 3.6 billion people without nuclear warfare, right? It makes you kind of wonder, you're going to create a wild cheetah along with the other things and possibly arm the thing? Maybe this is something like what John saw. Let's go back to that text there in Revelation chapter 6, verse 7 through 8. When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. And they were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill how? By the sword, by famine, by plague, and the what? The wild beasts of the earth. You know, maybe like a cheetah, or what looked like a cheetah when John was seeing this vision. Again, I'm not going to say thus saith the Lord. It could just be natural animals. It could be both. But when you take a look at the current technology, it sure makes you wonder, how is this going to happen? Now, that's just half of it, okay? It's not just drones in the air, drones on the ground, drones in the water, drones under the water, drones mimicking animals, right? You better keep your eye on those chickens. I had to say that, right? But listen, they're miniaturizing them too, right? You see, you just thought that was a cockroach. No, that wasn't a cockroach. No, that was a drone. No. You just thought that was a beetle. Wow, look at the size of that beetle, huh? No, that wasn't a beetle, right? You just thought it was a termite, a dragonfly, a bat, a butterfly, a hornet. Nope. Every single one of those I just mentioned are mimicking. They're making them to look exactly like them. You can't even tell the difference. And they're armed. In fact, the news is finally starting to catch up on this. They're called MAVs. These babies are called micro-aerial vehicles. And to where even the birds are not just monitoring you, but even the flies. See, you just opened the window. You thought you were safe and secure. Nobody's going to find you where you're hiding. Fly comes in, and believe it or not, that fly could kill you. See, this is what the news is reporting. Let's take a look at that.
Micro air vehicles, or MAVs, will play an important role in future warfare. The urban battlefield calls for tools to increase the warfighter's situational awareness and capacity to engage rapidly, precisely, and with minimal collateral damage. MAVs will be integrated into future Air Force layered sensing systems. These systems may be airdropped or hand-launched, depending on the mission requirements.
I'm sorry, did that plane just shoot out a bunch of little tiny drones? Terrifying, really terrifying. So these micro air vehicles, or MAVs, are designed to deal with urban battlefields with rapid precision. The question is, what urban battle is our military fighting that they need this kind of creepy technology? And forget about shooting these things down. They're about this big.
The small size of MAVs allows them to be hidden in plain sight. Once in place, an MAV can enter a low-powered extended surveillance mode for missions lasting days or weeks. This may require the MAV to harvest energy from environmental sources, such as sunlight or wind, or from man-made sources, such as power lines and vibrating machinery.
Hidden in plain sight on missions that could last weeks? Powered by the sun or power lines. And did you see that little Terminator-looking pigeon? Orwell would be rolling in his grave if he could see the absurdly dystopic reality we're about to be living in. But their small size is not just to linger undetected outdoors. It's also to gain access inside.
Small size and agile flight will enable MAVs to covertly enter locations inaccessible by traditional means of aerial surveillance. Multiple MAVs, each equipped with small sensors, will work together to survey a large area. Information from these sensors will be combined, providing the swarm of MAVs with a big picture point of view.
Maybe these places are not conducive to traditional surveillance methods because it's supposed to be illegal to surveil people's homes without a warrant. And also, how frightening is it to think of a swarm of these little robots coming at you in a dark hallway? Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They see all. They communicate together, offering this big picture image to whoever's sitting on the other end of the screen. Can anyone say Minority Report? Because this is literally what this country's turning into. And if that isn't chilling enough, sit tight, because it's about to get worse.
While some MAVs may be used purely for visual reconnaissance, others may be used for targeting or tagging of sensitive locations. Individual MAVs may perform direct attack missions and can be equipped with incapacitating chemicals, combustible payloads, or even explosives for precision targeting capability.
Wow. So if the surveillance fails, then these mini robots can and will set off explosives, chemical agents, and even assassinate human beings. At whose direction? Obama? The same person who has targeted the execution of a 16-year-old without due process? Gee, that's comforting. But will these MAVs really be used everywhere in the future of warfare?
MAVs will become a vital element in the ever-changing warfighting environment and will help ensure success on the battlefield of the future. Unobtrusive, pervasive, lethal, micro-air vehicles, enhancing the capabilities of the future warfighter.
Unobtrusive, pervasive, and lethal. So, welcome to the brave new world, kids, and watch out for bugs, because the next time you try to kill a fly, it might kill you first.
That would be funny if it weren't so true. I don't know about you, but the logical response to me is I'm getting rid of my bird baths and I'm stocking up on fly swatters. No, if you're not saved, you better get saved now. Because I really believe that all this technology is going to converge and it's going to be part of the weaponry used in the 7-year tribulation to annihilate nearly half the planet in a short amount of time. You put all this together, folks, and simply you give the order like an Obama, like an Antichrist type figure, and you have them the ability to tap in, and all the militaries around the world, all this technology, you literally could push a button and you could hunt people down literally like flies with even flies. There is no way to escape. Did you see that thing? It was armed to kill. A little fly creature. This is actual technology. So imagine if he wants to hunt and take people down, anybody who would resist and not do what he said, he pushes a button, gives the order, takes out all the terrorists as he defines them, in the air, on the ground, in the water, under the water, all these things, the animals, the flies, the birds, everything coming at you, because that's what people say. Oh, if I hear a predator drone coming at me, I'm going to run and hide. No, you're not. They say that if you even hear the predator drone, it's too late. You're about dead in 2 seconds. The missile's already been fired. But all these things together, there is no place to hide. The bugs will take you out. Actual technology in place right now. Now, the third and final way that we're going to take a look at this, and this is what I call the cleanup crew, right? And that is the making of men drones. And what I'm talking about, folks, I'm not making this up, actual real-life Terminator robots. Once again, thanks to the help of Arnold, okay, in Hollywood, we have been prepared for an actual gruesome future that these people are building for us, okay? And apparently the Crone theory goes like this: just in case all those other drones didn't get you, you know, in the air, the ground, the water, under the water, the insects, all the animals, the cheetahs, you name it, armed to the teeth, okay? They are making, I kid you not, man-made looking Terminator robots, and they're going to arm these babies to the teeth just like in the movie. Okay? In fact, they've already droned out virtually every piece of military equipment that you can imagine. I'm talking fighter jets, jeeps, boats, submarines, helicopters, tanks, you name it. We'll get into that into the next message on AI, how they're using superhuman intelligence to control this swarm of technology. But they're making actual humanoid robots, and they want to use these robots to replace human soldiers. They want robots, they want AI to fight our battles for us in the future. That's the wave that's coming, okay? Now, let me share with you an earlier version of these autonomous humanoid robots they're already building. It's not coming, it's already here. This one is called Petman. Watch this guy.
In 2009, Boston Dynamics introduced Petman, a robot that balanced itself, walked, and even did some calisthenics.
We're interested in getting this robot out into the world. Out in the world is just a totally different challenge than in the lab, and we're making pretty good progress on making it so it has mobility that's sort of within shooting range of yours. I'm not saying it can do everything you can do, but you can imagine if we keep pushing, we'll get there.
Now, I've seen some of you guys here, and you look kind of burly. Much more than me. It was a dry year when they plucked me. But how many guys would say you're walking around and that thing comes at you, you'd scream like a little baby girl? Was that freaky or what? That's actual technology. And this is actually what they're building. And listen to this. I'm going to read to you. This is the military's rationale. They quote, robots may replace one-fourth of U.S. combat soldiers by 2030. Says General Robert Crone, C-O-N-E. Check it out yourself. And listen, these entities can be fitted with machine guns, grenade launchers, and lethal weapons. Now, why do they want them? Two rationales. Here's the first one. Unlike human soldiers, they have no fear. They don't whine. They don't cry. They don't complain. They do what they're told every single time, just like that. So no attitudes, right? Perfect robot, perfect soldier. And here's the other rationale. It's finances. It's much cheaper. And I quote, training, feeding, and supplying humans at war is very pricey. And after the soldiers leave the service, you got a lifetime of medical care to cover for, right? In 2012, the benefits for serving retired members of the military comprised of 1/4 of the Pentagon's budget. Big bucks. So now you want to replace 1/4 of human soldiers with robot soldiers, and you're going to save a bunch of cash. So that's the rationale. This is not a game. This is what they're doing. And it isn't just America. I'm telling you, folks, it's like the gold rush. Remember back the old days, there's gold in them thar hills, right? And it created this gold rush, and it crested, and for many years, people are going out there to seek gold, right? Well, that's where they're at with this technology. It's kind of like they're at that, almost at that crest, right? Where everybody's like, and they're trying to build this technology faster than anybody else. In fact, some of the reports are saying that if America doesn't hurry up and ratchet this up, we're going to be left behind. Because other countries around the world are building this same kind of technology to use against us. So there literally is a rush to hurry up and get this out. Now, they also want them as human as possible, just like the Terminator movies. And let me listen to this quote. 10 years ago, so what do you got today? 10 years ago, DARPA was investing millions of dollars into what's called neuromorphic chips. You're going to say, well, that's a fancy word. It is. Well, what's it mean? Basically, that's the scientific term for the human brain, the biological cortex, right? It's basically a human brain chip, a neuromorphic chip. That's what they've been working on. And, quote, researchers today are putting those brain chips into, guess what? These kind of entities, right? And so that they will be able to function. Listen, they will be able to, thanks to the brain chip, the robot does not need a human to tell it what to do anymore. Quote, it can learn and act on its own just like the Terminator movies. Actual technology, okay? Hollywood's doing a great job of getting us used to it, okay? In fact, you see how that last one, Pet Man, okay? It was out there doing its own thing, but you notice it was still tethered, still had to have human control. Well, thanks to this technology now, with these apparently neuromorphic chips, the cord has been cut. These things are on their own now, walking around intelligently, learning, reacting like a real Terminator robot. Here's Pet Man's big brother. He's called Atlas. Watch this. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I think he said, I'll be back. I wish I was making this up. Can you believe this, folks? This is actual technology they're working on. In fact, this is their words, not mine. Listen, people, even non-Christians, are sounding the alarm on this technology. They're calling right now on the UN, quote, stop these killer robots now. Because even they could see what's going to happen. What's the point? Let's go back to the biblical text. Not going to say, thus saith the Lord, but I think it's a pretty good assumption. How in the world are you going to annihilate 3.6 billion people not using nuclear warfare in a relatively short amount of time? Well, you create a system to where you have drones that are equipped with killer technology. They're flying in the sky, hundreds of thousands of them. And not just the drones, the predator drones, but we're talking birds, we're talking bugs, we're talking cheetahs, we're talking stingrays, we're talking sharks in the water, in the air, under the water, everywhere you go, and you got a cleanup crew on the ground. Then you build a Skynet scenario system that gives one person the ability, if you will, to tap into the whole existing system and direct it to do whatever you want. That is not coming. That is already here. It's being built as we speak. And this is why I believe that Jesus says stuff like this, folks. Luke 21:28. When these things begin to take place, what do? Freak out, run, hide to the hills. Ah! No, he didn't say that. Wrong translation. What's he say? Stand up, lift up your heads because your redemption draws near. I believe this technology is already here and it's being put into play, but I believe it's going to come into play in the 7-year tribulation. So what's the logical response? The logical response is we don't know the day nor the hour of the rapture, but how much closer is the rapture which takes place prior, right? So all this information is not meant to freak us out. It's meant to go, whoa, praise God. Thank you for the reminder that Jesus Christ could come back today. And if you're longing for his appearing and in love with him, that's the best case scenario. That's the best news you could ever receive. And what it does is it gets rid of any sense of procrastination and laziness and apathy in our walk with Jesus Christ. Because the rapture could happen now. Take a look at what's going on in the world. The events that are being lined up to pull off in the 7-year tribulation are happening now. That means the rapture's got to happen anytime now. I ain't got time to goof off. I have to risk that relationship. I've got to share the gospel today, not tomorrow. The rapture could come and it might be too late. That's the blessing for those who read, who hear, and take to heart the words contained within this book. It cleanses us. It motivates us. It shouldn't freak you out. It should excite you. Because last time I checked, it's not a healthy sign that when a couple, the closer they get towards their marriage, that they get more scared. I just did my nephew's marriage not too long ago. It would not have been a healthy sign if he were to say, Pastor Billy, I got 2 months to go before the marriage and it's just really scaring me, man. I'm just freaking out. I can't take it anymore. What? Pastor Billy, I'm down to 4 weeks before the marriage. So I can't take it. I'm just going out of my mind. No, please, help me. Pastor Billy, next week, it's this Friday, we're going to get married. Usually that's not a good, healthy sign. No, what's the healthy sign in a couple? What's going on? The closer you get to the marriage ceremony, what? You just can't wait. Don't you realize all this information is information saying, listen, we don't know the day of the hour, but it's getting close. Close to what? The marriage supper of the Lamb. We get to be with Jesus. He's coming back to get us. This is awesome. But I will say this. If you're here, that's for the Christian, and you're not a Christian, you're not saved, you better get saved right now. You don't want to be left behind. The rapture could happen today, and you'd be stuck there in that chair, and you'd be thrust into the worst time in the history of mankind when all this stuff is going to be unleashed. There will be no place to hide when the Antichrist takes control. You need to turn to Jesus right now. You need to call upon the name of Jesus Christ. Ask him to forgive you of all of your sins. Believe in your heart that God raised him from the grave. The Bible says you will be saved. It's the greatest act of love that God the Father has ever done. Any father has ever done. That he would give his own son and sacrifice his son so that you could be set free from certain destruction. Like what this father did with his son. We'll close in prayer after this. Maybe. Maybe not. Hey, welcome to Calvary Chapel. And, well, that was exciting. Well, we'll close in prayer. Father, we love you. We thank you so much again for today, God. And I just pray that there's anybody here today, God, that is truly not born again, would you please draw them to you? It is the greatest act of love of all, that you gave your son, Jesus Christ, to take the death penalty in our place, that we could be saved, that we could be set free from certain destruction. Not only the 7-year tribulation, but for all eternity in hell. God, please, by your Spirit, even now, cause them to turn to you. And Lord, we just pray that we, your church, again, we would not just be hearers of your word, but doers of your word. Help us, God, to just receive this information today and help us to realize it's getting close. We've got to get busy living for you. Help us to not be distracted. Help us to not be fearful. Help us to be faithful, because that's why we're still here. You want other people saved besides us. We love you, and we commit all these things to you. And we ask all this in your wonderful name, in Jesus' name, and all God's people said, amen.
I know what video that is, and I first saw it a number of years ago. Guys, is it possible from back there to still show that video? Can you switch to your feed and see if it's possible to show it? No go. No can? Okay. Thank you, Pastor Billy. That was... Wow. Wow. I'm surprised you didn't have a video clip of a drone chicken. I'm sure you'll be working on that. Already are. Okay. As Pastor Billy was sharing there at the end about how that if this technology exists today, and the technology that exists today will ultimately find its fulfillment in and during the 7-year tribulation. And he quoted one of my favorite verses in the Bible, Luke 21:28, about when you see these things begin to come to pass. It reminded me of a story that Pastor Chuck Smith used to share about during this time of year, one time when he was with his wife at the mall. And he said to Kay, his wife, honey, all of the Christmas decorations are up. All of the signs and everything for Christmas is up. Oh, I just love Thanksgiving. To which she responded, honey, you mean Christmas? He said, no. Thanksgiving comes before Christmas. And when I see all of the decorations up and all of the signs up for Christmas, that means that Thanksgiving is close. You see where he was going with that, right? Thanksgiving's the rapture. And the rapture happens before the 7-year tribulation. And we're seeing the signs are up. The technology is here. And Thanksgiving is coming literally in a couple of weeks. I'm not setting a date. Just saying it's close. Why don't you stand? And the worship team will close us in song. God bless you.